To be able to invest your money and get some passive income, first of all, you have to save some money. And it is much easier to save money if you know the main rules about budgeting. If budgeting is something that's completely new to you and you've never done it before, then I hope that this video will help you to skip this learning process and get to the point straight away without making the mistakes that I've made. But if you've already been budgeting for some time and you understand that there are ways of improving your budgeting skills, you are looking for the information about the budgeting rules, then hopefully you will be able to eliminate them faster, because I'm going to tell you my ways of how I managed to overcome these problems and got better at my budgeting skills. So keep watching this video and I really hope that you'll enjoy it. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anastasia. On this channel I talk about investing, and especially investing for beginners. This video is not about investing as such, but this video is going to be about budgeting, because budgeting and investing are very much connected to each other. Without budgeting you won't be able to invest properly. So if you think that budgeting is not important and you don't have to do it, okay, try to manage your finance without budgeting, and then I'm sure you'll get back to this video sometime later, maybe a year later, and you will realize that you lost that year because you didn't manage to achieve any financial goals that you set for yourself. If you think that budgeting is only for rich people and you don't have any money to budget, that is also not the case, because it doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have to start budgeting, and the sooner you start, the better. Because the difference between poor people budgeting and very rich people budgeting is only the sums of money that they allocate for certain things. But the general idea of budgeting and the rules that both of these groups of people follow, they are completely the same. But anyway, this video is not about rules as such, but this video is about mistakes that I made. It took me years probably to realize that these mistakes were stopping me, were slowing me down in reaching my financial goals, and I never thought about researching the topic or trying to look for a similar video on YouTube. So if you've searched for these keywords to find my video, if you are interested in the topic, then well done, because that means that you are already on the right path. So now let's look at the 5 mistakes that I've made myself one by one. And mistake number 1 is not having the full control over my finance. And trust me, this is not only my mistake. I was talking once to a very big business person, a politician, a multimillionaire, and he told me the same thing, that throughout his whole life he never knew how much money he had. He only knew that he had money or he didn't have money. And I've been doing exactly the same thing. I didn't know exactly how much money I had. Really, if you ask me how much money I had in my bank account, I wouldn't tell you. All I knew that I had enough. But the problem started when I tried to budget my finance properly and I wanted to invest certain money into certain places. For example, I wanted to invest some money into property, some money into stocks and shares, and some money into cryptocurrency, etc. And I didn't know how much money I could afford to invest into every single asset. So this is when I came to realization that just knowing that I have money or I don't have money is not enough. Because it is great to know that you have money. Of course, it's better to know that you have money than to realize that you don't have any money. But you have to understand how much money you actually have to be able to understand how much money you can afford to spend. In my personal situation, I am not a spender at all, I'm a saver. But the problem that you have, whether you're a spender or a saver, is eventually the same, because you cannot enjoy your life properly. I've been saving and saving and saving and thinking that I cannot afford to buy certain things because I thought I don't have enough money, when actually I did. I just didn't know how much money I had. Okay, the mistake number 2 that I made was trying to save as much money as I could without putting the exact financial goals that I wanted to achieve. So it comes not only to saving money, but also to investing. For example, you can say that I want to invest as much as possible, but that is not the correct way to go, because if you don't know what goal you want to achieve, you won't be able to take the certain actions when the time comes, when the right time comes, to be able to achieve those goals. Instead, you will be just waiting, losing out on the opportunities that will definitely come along your way, because you don't have a goal. For example, you can have a goal to buy a house. You must know exactly how much money you need to buy a house, how much money you need for the first deposit. Once you have this sum in your head, you have to look at other ways of investing your money. For example, invest little by little into stocks and shares, into S&P 500, where you know that on average you will get 7% return on investment. You will know how much money you have to put aside every month in order to invest, or in order just to keep it in your bank to be able to save enough for the deposit. If you don't do that, it will take you forever. If you don't have this exact sum in your head, it will take you forever, because the prices of houses might change, your dream house might change, and you might want to buy something bigger. And it seems like it is a clear idea, I want to buy a house, but it's not. You have to know exactly the sum that you need to buy a house. It works the same way with passive income. I have a figure in my head that I want to reach to get passively every single month, and then knowing how much money I have, how much money I have invested, and the return that I get from each asset allows me to move my money around to get as close to this figure as possible, and also in the shortest time possible. The mistake number 3 is, I've been talking about it on my channel several times already. The mistake number 3 that I made, and I've been doing it for a very, very long time, was to keep my money in the bank rather than to invest it into anything, really. So my goal was to save as much money as I could by working as hard and as much as I could, 12-hour working day, no problem, because I would make some money, but I wouldn't spend any of that money. I would put it all in my bank account, because in my bank account in Ukraine, I've been talking about it in this video, you can watch it if you want to, in Ukraine we could get very high interest rates. But I didn't know that high interest rates doesn't mean that my capital is appreciating at all. In fact, it was depreciating all these years. It is a topic for a different video, and I'm not going to explain it to you here. If you're watching me from a developed country, like from the US or from the UK, your interest rates in the banks are so pathetic that I think it's very clear there is absolutely no point in keeping your money there. But if you're watching me from a developing country, like for example Ukraine, where I come from, and you can get interest rates that seem big, like 20-30% per year, research the topic, because it doesn't mean that your capital is appreciating at all. Most of the time, I mean 99.9% of the time, your money is still being eaten up by the inflation. Honestly guys, some of you might think that this is a stupid mistake and who on earth would do that? But I've been doing it for so many years. I realize now I lost about 10 years of my life just doing this one mistake. And when I think about the time that I lost, it makes me sad. But when I think about the money that I lost, it makes me double sad. So yeah, the mistake number 3 is don't keep your money in the bank. Keep a little bit, a financial pillow, so-called, a financial safety pillow. Keep it in the bank, but the rest, invest. Invest into different assets, diversify, make sure that you keep your risk as low as possible, or the risk that you can tolerate for your financial situation. It is different for absolutely everybody, but invest. Use your money, use it carefully, but use it. Don't let it die, don't let the banks use it, because banks are making money on your money that you put into those banks. Good luck. Okay, now mistake number 4 that I made, it is very much connected to the previous 2 that I've mentioned. So as I've already said, my main goal in budgeting was to save as much money as I could. It wasn't about spending money, it wasn't about investing money. I thought that the more money I save, somewhere in the future, and I didn't have the exact year or the exact time, because as I've already said, I didn't have the exact goal in my head, but somewhere in the future when I need money, I'll be able to use this money. In a way, of course, it's right, because I've been saving, and now I can afford to invest, to buy houses, to go on traveling and so on. But in hindsight, of course, I wouldn't keep such big sums of money in the bank for nothing. And when I say big sums of money, I don't think that I keep millions there, you know. For me, a girl from Ukraine, from a very normal family, big sum of money was $1,000, was a lot of money for me. And if you think that if you save your whole life, by that certain age, whenever you think about it, you will be able to have a good life, That's probably not the case, because the fact that you are saving means that it's not you're poor, but it's just about your mindset. And if your mindset doesn't change, you will never ever spend this money. Again, I don't know where you are watching me from, but I can tell you that the people in Ukraine and in Russia, the older generation of these countries, they have this syndrome of constantly postponing their life. They think that they will go to a restaurant and have a meal only on a certain occasion, some big holiday, which usually never happens. They think that they will not buy a new piece of clothes because the one they are wearing doesn't have any holes in it yet. And so I've seen it so many times. People think that the day will come when they'll be able to spend the money that they saved in a bank, but then this day never comes. And this was the great example for me. This was something that made me think differently, even though my parents and my family has always taught me that I have to save money in case something bad happens, because the situation is so unstable in this country. You probably know what I'm talking about. But what I'm trying to say, if you are like me, a big time saver, it's not great. It is as bad as being a spender. Spenders usually don't have much money, but at least they are enjoying their life. Savers have the money in the bank, but they have nothing that they can show for themselves. And of course, it doesn't mean that you have to take all your savings and start spending it here and there. But what I'm talking about is to try to find a balance between spending your money and saving your money. I am much better than what I'm used to be, but I'm still in the process of learning. Okay, and mistake number 5 that I made was not keeping the track of my expenses. And again, you might think, well, it's such an easy thing to do. Everybody's saying that you have to keep the track of your expenses. But the way I was thinking is, well, I don't spend much and I know that I make more than what I spend. So why do I need to track my expenses? But the thing is, when you know exactly what you spend your money on, you realize that certain things that you definitely can live without take such a big part of your expenses that you will probably get very much surprised when you look at your own results. If you are a spender, it is definitely a must-do budgeting rule. You definitely have to write down all of the expenses that you have, and some of the expenses that you will find there will be not useful, like for example going out for a coffee once in a while, and you will think, well, why do I have to go out for a coffee if I can make one in my own coffee machine? But it's not about the coffee, and I find sometimes that the coffee that I order in a cafe is worse than the coffee that my husband can make me in my own kitchen. But it's not about that. It's also about the social aspect. It's also about the fact that you can go out and go for a walk and see people and just try something new. It's also about the enjoyment in your life. But if you have some subscriptions that you don't use, or you are buying the 10th pair of your spring shoes that you definitely don't need, these are the things that you don't need and that don't bring you any enjoyment. And if you write them down, you have to do it for several months, not 1 month, and definitely not 1 week. It definitely has to be over a longer period of time. You will definitely see these things you could have saved money on. And then in the future, when you are about to buy your 11th pair of your spring shoes, you will probably remember this experience and you will think twice before buying them. And this is the goal that you want to achieve. Okay guys, I hope you found this video interesting and useful. I'm very grateful for your time and attention today, and I hope to see you soon in my next videos. Bye bye.